Hi guys, my name is Sansi and this will be number 7 in my animal pet series. Okay, so in my last video I talked about living in Florida and swimming with the alligators. But after about a year and a half, or I think it was about a year and 3 months, my mom had gotten remarried. So she was married, well, 7 times, but really 9 times. Well, she married my dad twice to try to revitalize the marriage, but they ended up getting divorced anyway. And then on the 9th one, she married somebody, a man that had a bad wife, or the mother was bad and they had kids. And so she married him so he could get custody of the kids. And then they got divorced after like a year or something, but we never lived with them or anything, so it was just kind of a weird deal. But anyway, I've been through a lot in my life. But anyway, so she got remarried, so we moved to North Carolina, right between Morganton and Lenore. And just like right on the line. And we managed a small airport because my new stepdad was a pilot. So we had little Cessnas, just little airplanes. And we also had a flight school there, so people could come and take lessons and take their test and get their pilot's license and everything. And so anyway, it was on the top of a mountain, and there was a runway and everything, and we had a great big hangar where the mechanic who lived behind us, and where we lived was the office was just like a square, and then we had a women and men's restroom and a Coke machine and a snack machine and stuff like that downstairs. But then when you went upstairs, and it was a long steep flight, then that was our apartment upstairs, and it was a 2-bedroom apartment with a living room, but we made the living room into a 3rd bedroom for my brother. And we were never up there except just to sleep and eat and sleep and shower, right? So the rest of the time we're outside or downstairs with the guests and things like that. But there was woods all around our property there, and it was fenced, but we always left one of the fences, great big fence that double like door things, that was always open. And then there was a fence, like a doorway where you could walk through it to go into the office area. And then there was a like a pasture, I guess, like it was kind of up like a hilly area, but it was perfect for a horse. And I had babysitted. I pretty much raised my little sister. I'm 8 years older than her. And I mean, not financially, but emotionally and physically, I was always the caretaker. And so she was little then. And well, going back, I have a bug bite on my foot from mowing. It's itchy. Okay, so in Florida, my mom took me out of school for about 3 months to care for my daughter while she worked at a nearby bar. And so she would give me a little bit of money all the time. And then I would also save money every birthday or Christmas. If I got any money, I saved it my whole life to buy a horse. So I did finally get my horse. And I think it was $300 that I had saved up, and so my stepdad took me to this place to look at the horse, and the old guy, he says, well, she was broke, but we put her out to pasture, and she's been out to pasture for 3 years, so we're not sure how good a horse she would be for a young girl. And I just didn't care what horse it was. I didn't care what it looked like. I just wanted a horse. And I said, no, I'll take it. I'll take it. So we took it, and the old man brought her up to us, up to our house up there, and got her out of the trailer, and I saddled her up. I got on her, and she would not budge. Not 1 foot. And I was so disappointed. I'm like, what is going? I'm like, we kick the sign, you're supposed to go, She just stood there. She was the most stubborn horse I've ever seen in my life. So then I'd get down and I'd walk her around, by the reins. She would walk with me if I was holding the reins. But if I got on her, she would just stand there. If I kept kicking her and urging her to go forward, then she would buck me off. So we just went round and round and round. And it took me months of working with her every single day, and a lot of apples and for encouragement. And finally, I got her to go. But the very first time that I kicked her and she actually went after I gave her an apple, she took off running into the forest, and it was dense forest. So I don't even know how she got through there with the limbs and the trees and everything. She was running as fast as she could. So, and I tried pulling the reins, but I tried and tried. She would not stop for nothing. So I just put my head down to her head. I grabbed her around the neck, and I just held on for dear life until she got tired. And I came home with scrapes and scratches everywhere, going through all that brush and everything. Bad horse. So then, I just kept working with her. And so I decided to work with her in the fenced area, so we're not going through the forest anymore. And oh, by the way, on the other side of the runway, there was like a hill that went straight down, because we were on top of a mountain. So and if we went over there, me or my brother, he had a motorcycle. So that was the very first thing I learned to drive, was a Honda 150. As you have to change gears and all that, but it was a lot of fun. But my main love was the horse, and his main love was the motorcycle. But if we went over there on the other side of the runway, shots would be fired with a gun, and you would hear, "Get out of here! Get out of here!" Well, it was guys running stills right on the other side of the runway. They had, alcohol stills set up and making their moonshine. But anyway, we would just go, as soon as we heard the shots, we would go. We didn't want to die or get shot or anything. But anyway, that's just a funny side story. But then there was, let me say this, about 6 months after I had her and worked with her every day, you could actually ride her with no reins, no saddle or anything. I could whistle at her like a dog, and she would come. And she would turn around. So I always just ran, and then I, jump up from her butt area, so I would be running, put my hands on her butt, jump up, and then I'd be right where I was supposed to be. So, um, but she ended up being the best horse ever. I mean, just really good. And even our airplane mechanic, he would whistle at her every morning, and she would come over and put her back to his porched area, and he would just jump on her, and she would ride him to the hangar where we kept the planes that he worked on. And then she would take him home whenever 5 o'clock rolled around. He would ride her home because it was a little bit of a walk every day. But and then there was a time that she kept getting into the trash just like a dog would. And it was a big barrel, big barrel trash, metal can, and she would tip that over and trash would be everywhere. Well, this happened on the daily for, I don't know, this was right in the beginning of having her too. She was very ornery, very ornery. She would dig all that trash out of there and just strew it everywhere while we were sleeping. And the airplane mechanic, his name was Van, he said, well, I know how to cure that. And I'm like, you do? He said, yeah, I'll fix it up. I'm like, oh, okay. So he goes and gets some electrical thing, attaches it to the lid, because she could take the lid off with her teeth, and then she would knock the can over and get the trash out. So he put an electrical clip thing on the lid, and then this wire thing went down to like a little motor or something that sat on the ground. And so the next time she came up, and it was broad daylight this time too, we weren't sleeping this time, and I happened to be just, I don't know what I was doing, but I was outside, and she went over there and nibbled on that lid, and she did the splits. I'm not kidding. All 4 legs just went out straight, and I thought she was going to break her legs. I do not know how she did not break her legs, because it was like on asphalt, and he had put water around the trash can and hooked up this electric thing. Well, I didn't know it was gonna make her just, fall out like that. Scared the crap out of me, and she got so scared, and I checked her lip. It didn't look burnt or anything, but I'm sure it was sore. And after that, she would walk 6 feet around. She never touched that trash can again. But I didn't know it was going to be that big of a jolt, or I would have never let him do it. Because really, that was cruel, really. But anyway, she learned her lesson, and I'm trying to think if there's any other funny stories about her. We left the fence open all the time. She never went anywhere. I never tied her up or anything. I just let her run free, and she always stayed right there. But she loved our rides through the forest, and sometimes we would ride down the road and everything, and just out in nature. But she loved it every day. She loved the attention she was getting, and then she just ended up being the best horse ever, really the best. There was another story I'm thinking of. Okay, so I told you earlier it was hard to rein her back because she just had a hard mouth or something, and I can't remember if it was the mechanic or my stepdad, but they said, oh, well, we can tighten the reins and that'll be better. And then you shouldn't have to pull back. So, I'd have to pull back with all my strength to get her to even slow down a little bit. So they tightened the reins. Well, and then I just went riding her. And when we got home that night, I didn't even think about the reins, and I pulled back hard like normal, And she reared up. My feet went through the stirrups. So my feet went through the stirrups. She reared up and fell right on top of me backward, just like bam. It knocked the air out of me. I couldn't breathe for it seemed like 3 minutes. I know it probably wasn't that long, but it was forever before I could get a breath again. And ever since then, I've had something called Tietz disease or Tietz. I don't know if it's a disease or whatever, but it's an inflammation of your rib cage. So once in a while, it doesn't happen too often anymore, but once in a while, my rib cage will swell up past my breast even, and it will just hurt like hell for like all day, sometimes a couple of days. When I went to the doctor about many years ago, they said, "Oh, it's impossible for your ribs to swell up." But since then, since Google, I love Google, I've been able to research it more, and it's just an inflammation of the connecting tissue or the soft tissue around your ribs. I don't think it's very common, so probably not too many people have ever experienced it, but it is extremely painful, extremely. So I had that, but I didn't break any ribs. And I don't think I had anything else happen from that incident. But anyway, then I can't really think of any other stories right now concerning her. But if I think of any, I can add them later, I guess. But then when my mom got divorced, we moved back to Kansas, and so I had to just give her. I just gave her to the mechanic because I thought he would take care of her, and she knew him. They knew each other and everything. And so I just had to give her away because I couldn't take her with us. But I loved her. Her name was Ribbon. And I just loved her with all my heart. And I still do. I love that horse. And I hope when I cross the Rainbow Bridge that she'll be there waiting for me. But anyway, if you've had any horses or any other animals, put it in the comments. I would love to hear it. And I'd love to hear any funny stories. Or even any serious stories, you know, because I just love animals. I really love them. I love them all. Okay, guys, I hope to see you on the next one. All right, bye-bye.